I get it. Scrolling through endless TV listings, you see those massive 85-inch screens with 8K flashing everywhere, and you picture yourself watching movies the size of a cinema wall. Then you remember the last time you bought a big screen set that looked perfect on the photo but turned out to be a disappointment when you actually tried it in your living room. The picture looked washed out in daylight, the sound never filled the room, and you ended up plugging in a soundbar and a separate streaming stick just to get a decent experience. That frustration is why I'm doing this deep dive before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I want to walk you through the real-world pros and cons of the Samsung 85-inch class QLED 8K QN800D so you can avoid another regret. First off, let's talk about the size. An 85-inch panel is a commitment. It dominates a wall and demands a proper viewing distance about 8 to 10 feet for the 8K resolution to actually shine. If your sofa is closer than that, you'll start seeing the pixel grid, especially in darker scenes, and the supposed 8K advantage fades. For a typical family room with a 12-foot layout, the screen can be breathtaking, but if you live in a tighter apartment or a bedroom, you'll spend more time adjusting seating than enjoying the picture. Samsung's Quantum Matrix Pro with mini LEDs is the engine behind the brightness and contrast. In a bright living room with lots of windows, this TV can crank out around 1500 nits, which means HDR highlights stay punchy even when the sun is streaming in. I tested it by watching a nature documentary during the day, and the bright glints on water droplets were still vivid without washing out the surrounding shadows. That's a real advantage if you often watch daytime TV or sports on a sunny wall. On the flip side, that brightness comes with a trade-off. The local dimming zones are aggressive. In darker scenes, you'll notice a subtle blooming effect where bright objects push the surrounding black areas slightly upward. It's not a deal-breaker for most movies, but if you're a gamer who likes fast-paced shooters, that blooming can momentarily hide details in the shadows. The AI motion enhancer does a decent job smoothing fast action, but it can introduce a slight soap opera look if you push the frame interpolation too high. I found the sweet spot by keeping the motion setting low and relying on the native 120Hz panel for most sports and gaming content. Sound is another area where the QN800D tries to stand out. The Object Tracking Sound Plus system uses speakers embedded in the frame to move audio with the on-screen action. In a large room, you'll feel that effect when a plane flies across the screen. The sound seems to follow it. In practice, though, the volume ceiling is modest. You'll probably still need a dedicated soundbar or a full home theater setup to fill a big space. Dolby Atmos is present, but without a separate subwoofer, the low-frequency impact feels thin. If you're an audiophile who wants immersive sound right out of the box, you'll likely add external speakers anyway, so the built-in system is more of a nice-to-have than a replacement. The AI upscaling engine, branded as NQ8 AI Gen 2, is one of those features that only shows its value when you're watching non-8K content. Samsung claims it can take a 1080p video and make it look almost native 8K. I tried a classic 4K Blu-ray, a 1080p YouTube video, and a standard definition TV show. The 4K source looked gorgeous, with deep blacks and vibrant colors, but the 1080p clip, while sharper than before, still revealed a certain softness at the edges. The AI does help, but you shouldn't expect a 1080p movie to suddenly have the same level of detail as a true 8K source. If you're mainly streaming 4K HDR from services like Netflix or Disney+, you'll get a solid boost. If your library is mostly older SD content, the improvement is modest. Now, let's talk about daily usability. The TV runs on Samsung's Tizen OS, which feels snappy enough for most apps. Switching between Netflix, YouTube, and the built-in web browser takes just a couple of seconds. Voice control works with Alexa built in, but I found the wake word a bit finicky. You sometimes have to speak louder or repeat yourself. For a family that likes to ask the TV to turn on the lights or play a specific playlist, the integration works but isn't flawless. One hidden convenience is the One Connect box, a separate hardware module that houses all the HDMI, USB, and power connections, keeping the TV's back clean. The downside is you need to run a thin cable from the box to the TV, which can be a nuisance if your furniture layout doesn't allow a clean path. Who should buy this beast? If you have a spacious living room, a dedicated home theater corner, or a media room where you can sit back 8 to 10 feet away, and you enjoy watching high-budget movies, sports, and next-gen games on a